And also, this is a big thing I like noticed too. Let random accidents and let them embrace you.
Yeah.
Like there's
You'll realize that there's really no fucking accidents. It's all like meant to be like always happens for a reason.
Exactly. Like we said, like who's the commander?
Yeah.
Because I wrote this song one time called Broken Headlights. Mm-hmm. And I was producing the track just on a normal day. Like I didn't have any ideas, just producing.
Yeah.
The thing is, my computer's very glitchy. Okay. It pisses me off a lot because it just randomly goes off on me.
Yeah.
So I got this random kick sample, it goes like pop, and then just a snare sample. I put it in my Logic Pro software. I don't know what happened. It started distorting the heck out of it.
Damn.
So when I was playing it, it was like, I was like, wait a minute. This is kind of vibey. It sounded like Kanye West, like Yeezus drums. Like it was very gritty drums. Mm-hmm. So I'm just like, all right, this is what I want to use. I just kept it.
Yeah.
It was like distorting. Well, obviously I fixed like the clipping because like you have to, or like, it's not really
adjustments to something
I made
that happened by accident.
A distortion, so it sounded like that. And I was like, and to make the whole beat off just that part. I'm just like, inspiration just clicked. I was like, wait a minute. This sounds wicked. Random.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Sound 14 podcast. I'm here with Ram. That's how you pronounce your name, right?
Yeah, I just go by Ram.
yeah. Wasn't sure right there. But thanks for coming by, and glad to have you.
Of course. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah. Man, I think the first time like I started like listening to your music was when you posted that story. I was like, damn, this guy makes beats, and I was all in, bro. Like, so
thank you.
Yeah, that's amazing. That like music to me is the highest form of expression. Mm-hmm. And to have people that create music, like I love talking to people that create music because they just have this different perspective of the world that shapes them. So thanks for coming on.
Yeah, it's just like I felt like music was like the only way for me to like express, especially as like a kid or a teenager. Mm-hmm. So I just like, that's the one thing in life that just stuck on to me for a long period of time.
Yeah. You know? Yeah. Like who's your first inspiration in wanting to do music? Like that's something that you wanted to do, you wanted to pursue. Yeah,
this is actually kind of like a quick funny story in a sense. Or it was, I think it was like 2011 or 2012, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
I was at a friend's house, and before this, I used to not listen to hip hop. I was like, hip hop. It plays on the radio. Yeah, I know it, or something. But I was at this kid's place, and he had a iPod Shuffle. I'm like, can I have it?
So this was a few years back then.
This was like 10 years ago, 9 years ago.
Damn.
And I'm like, can I have it? He's like, 15, it's yours. I'm like, okay. So I had cash that like my mom gave me or something. So I was like, and he's like, all right, let me like put some songs on it. And he was a big hip hop head. Like, you know, he's like knew everything. And he was a lot older than me too. So he's like, okay, let me put some songs on the shuffle and I'll give it to you. I'm like, okay. And he gave it to me. I went home. The thing about the shuffle is you can't pick what song. It just comes up.
It's just on there.
And then it was Kendrick Lamar coming up a lot. And this was before Good Kid, Mad City. I think this was like his first ever album. So it was like not well known. So I was like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
But it was just so I didn't know the names of the songs or who it was by.
Yeah, because it doesn't have any screen. Like I remember that iPod Shuffle. It was this big, like literally that big. And it was probably revolutionary at the point when it came out because people were putting cassettes and CD players and shit. So this small little thing.
It was crazy. Super portable too. And it came with a belt clip. So it was just like put on my belt. And it was cool because I was just like, who is this guy? And so I saw this kid a couple months later. I'm like, who is this guy? And I was like, it's Kendrick Lamar. You don't know Kendrick Lamar? I'm like, no. I'm like in the 6th grade. I don't think I should be listening to this.
I know.
But it was just very creative because I used to listen to like bands before this, like Green Day and stuff. And, But when it came to hip hop, I was like, okay, like this form of expression is so much like, in a sense, poetic or just like straight off the dome kind of stuff. It's like freestyling, all kinds of things. So I started writing myself like a couple years later. It didn't go as planned, of course.
But at least you tried. Like at least it was the inspiration and the pursuit of actually doing it was there.
Exactly. So, yeah. I mean, I had to start somewhere, and I'm glad I went like started there, and I went to school the next day, and I showed all my friends and like the cute chicks in school. I'm just like, you gotta read this, gotta read this, and then these
bars right
these
here.
bars. And it was like the worst thing ever, right?
Really?
And then the chicks were like, okay. Are you sure? Like half of this doesn't even rhyme. But yeah, it was just like a starting point.
Yeah, dude. Whenever like you do something in the beginning, it always sucks.
100%.
Always, dude. There's nobody that did anything on the first try and did it perfect.
Yeah, never.
It never happens. Like every single thing that I've done, I've fucked up in so many more times than I've succeeded in.
Yeah, and that's the best thing. If you don't mess up at least even once, then you're not doing it right. You're doing it too not risky. Like, you know, it has to be risky.
I mean, life is risky. I mean,
exactly.
I mean, you're gonna die anyway. So like,
exactly. What is the point?
There, right. But yeah, dude, that's crazy. Like just that inspiration from a song and building it up there. Do you still listen to hip hop and stuff?
Oh yeah, 100%. Okay. Now it's because there was a point where I was just like, only hip hop is the coolest. I still think hip hop is the coolest, but there was a point where like all the music I was making were just very strict. Like it was just one thing after another, same thing just being reproduced. So that's when I started getting into like
other genres.
I had to get into other genres. Like even if I don't like it, like they have something to say. I don't have to agree with it, but they still have something to say, right? So yeah, I got into a lot of like R&B, a lot of Indian music too.
Oh yeah,
I started fucking heavy with Indian music, like A.R. Rahman and like a lot of melodies. I still actually use like techniques in my music now. Damn. And I'm glad I did that because like, you know, it expands your vocabulary if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's that type of music. Even though it's not like the most popular thing, you know, but it allows you to delve into it and maybe inspire you in a different way that wouldn't have been possible if you just said, this is the only way to make music. This is exactly how to do it, right? Exactly.
Because like with Kendrick Lamar or something, he's like, nah, he says like a story in his song form, and you understand it because like it's in English, right? But once you listen to like Indian music, it might be in like Tamil or Hindi, and like I don't understand it completely, but you do in the same way, if that makes sense. In a different way. Just, I mean, I think all music, it doesn't matter if you could understand the language, but like the beat, everybody can get behind a beat. Like it moves you, it makes you feel different feelings. There's when you're sad, you could have music that matches that vibe, and you just feel it. Like with every album, like even with hip hop, like for example, J. Cole, when his new album came out, I only liked a few songs because it matched the vibe I was on when I first was listening to the album, and I was like in a happy mood. So the songs that hit hard, that was like the songs I liked. And then later on, I kept on replaying the album and I was in a lower mood, and then the other songs felt better at the time. So like it depends on what mood you're in, and even the artist creating it. Like J. Cole might be in a great mood that day, and he creates a song based on that feeling. And then later on, he might be in a worse mood, but that still puts out a different emotion in the song. Exactly. Yeah. It's funny you bring up the J. Cole album because I felt the same way about that. I did not like it when I first heard it, and I'm like a big J. Cole fan too. Like I bought every album on like CD. Really? I'm that kind of guy. I buy CDs if I like the album. But then I'm just like, it's not that great. Like me and my like homeboy were like in my house and just listening in the studio. And we're like, But then I listened to it like later on in the car and stuff, and was like, wait a minute. Yeah. This is not a bad album at all. Like I actually like this a lot. Yeah. It's just like that happens a lot with a lot of artists, I think. Even with Drake, how many songs did he have on this album? I think like at least 20, I'm pretty sure, on Certified Lover Boy. And the first time I listened to the whole thing, it was like a mixed bag, right? Because 20 songs and this is the first time you're hearing it. And so I knew I had to replay it again because I wouldn't have gotten the full feeling
just by that first listen. And so I replayed it over and over and over again. And eventually, like, I understood, like, why he put these songs on the album. Like,
exactly,
it was meant to be there. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's why I feel like a lot of albums that are coming out these days are more of something that grows on you than something like, oh, you listen to it the first time, you're like, this is amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
Because the last time that happened to me was when J. Cole's 2014 4 Souls Drive came out. I feel like that's like the only album where I listened to it for the first time and I'm like, okay, I'm already a fan. Like everything else after that was just like, oh yes, I'm a fan to them, but it's more like they grew on me more than like first love.
Is revolutionary. That was changed hip hop. Like, cause I knew once like No Role Models was playing on radio and shit, I was like, this is classic, legendary. It's never going to go out of style. Never.
Yeah. It was just
like 100 years from now, people are going to play this shit. That's how good it is.
Well produced too. And that was like, I think the album that got me into producing. Cause like before this, I was just like writing and stuff. But now like, I don't write that much, but I'm like more like on the production side.
Yeah.
I heard that album and it was like different cause like, everything else was just like 808 snares. Like this one was just like strings, trumpets, saxophone.
Yeah.
And like jazz elements. I was like, wow.
It was crazy. Do you listen or have you watched those videos on Genius where they have the producer and shit?
Yeah.
Like I think I watched one with of J. Cole's No Role Models. I forget who produced it.
Yeah, Phoenix Beats.
Yeah. But he was going through it and he was talking about how J. Cole wanted like birds to be in there and shit. Like so all these ideas had to come to fruition to create that beat. And it's amazing how as a listener, the first time you listen to it, you're not really paying attention to what each beat is doing or like how it's all put together, but you're just enjoying it. And then when you look at it from that perspective of the producer's perspective of having to like EQ everything and do like I don't know anything shit about music, but that's the process of creating the beat and then having the result come to fruition. It's crazy.
It's actually like it's like a business process. Like, you know, you get a starting point and you have like a supply chain and it goes all the way to the consumer and so many things that happen in the middle.
Yeah. So many fucking things. And it's like all ideas, all fucking things that you hear randomly. Like it could be, I've heard Billie Eilish say that on an Australian street.
The street light thing?
Yeah. Street light where you, click the walk button. It was like playing, and then she recorded that and then put it on the song. Like
she put it on what's that song? The bad guy. She used that as hi hat, like
hi hats.
And it was just a walk sign. In an Australian street.
Yeah, that was crazy. Like random shit like that. Hearing a melody in your head and playing it. Like I've seen TikToks of Charlie Puth. Like he does some wild
he's
shit.
Insane.
Yeah. He has like, I think this would work. And then he randomly, I don't know how the fuck he does it, but he finds whatever sound he's thinking of on Logic or whatever and puts it in.
Yeah, he's crazy. And he has that perfect pitch, of course. Like
perfect pitch. Yeah.
I wish like I had it because sometimes you have a melody in your head and you're like, oh, that sounds bomb on an electric piano. I'm like, I bet. Pull up the electric piano. I'm just like, okay.
What is it going to be?
What key should I hear? Like, where is it? Because I'm like, to be honest, with music, I'm not really like, I was never musically trained fully.
Yeah.
It's just,
I don't think a lot of people are like, I don't think Kanye is or.
Kanye isn't either. Yeah, Kanye. Yeah, it's just that I'm just like, okay. That's like sometimes with music, you should never look at it as like a, something you have to like learn or like it's just
I
art.
Think any creation, bro. Like, of course, there's trades to it. Like you could master skills better, but the actual creation, like anybody could do it. Anybody.
100%.
If you have any sound in your mind, or if you want to like cook, like I think cooking is also an art in itself.
Oh yeah, full on art. Yeah,
and of course there's skills you can learn, like proper knife skills and shit like that. But imagining like what the dish will be, that's like up to you. Like anybody could create that.
Yeah, 100%. That's why like whenever like people ask me for advice for music, even, I'm not saying I'm like a master at this, but like sometimes like, you know, like collaborations, I'd say, learn music theory as a tool, but not as like per se a crutch, because you can easily get lost in like, I call this a school music, where it's like, they teach you this and you have to follow these rules. That only learn rules to break them.
Yeah, that's so true. And we talked about before the podcast, like how school doesn't really accentuate or doesn't really explore like the reality of life. And that's one of the biggest things, is because we've been trained as human beings, like since we're like 5 years old, to obey the rules.
Yes.
Obey, like this where you're gonna go to class. This where you hang your backpack. This how you had to sign your name. Everything is rules and regulations and shit that limits us, when in reality, like kids will do anything. And of course, there are some, like, you can't just like push somebody or like hurt somebody. Those are rules that people need to follow. But in other regards, some rules shouldn't be followed. Like, let them create, like let people do shit, because that's where the greatest ideas come from. That's where you get the Kanyes, the Elon Musks, the inventors, the people that are like fucking remembered and praised because they did things differently. Nobody fucking is remembered because they did everything normal, because they chose the path that everybody else takes.
Exactly. And I feel like that's why I'm not too big on school anymore, because it just like kills your creative insight. And I actually have an example of this. Last week, just like we had some project due for accounting, which is like a Microsoft Excel sheet. Yeah. And it was simple. Like, you just had to add a couple numbers, divide, and just put it into the specific cells. It marked it wrong for half the class, even if the answer was right. Then we realized that you had to exactly like reference the cells. I don't know if you know like the Excel, you know, you have to like copy the exact numbers instead of typing it. But it marks wrong. So we're like, so we go up to the professor and we're like, okay, we all got the right answer except like 3 people. I don't know. I guess it copied it. Yeah. I'm like, could we have another chance and just redo it? The answer was no. She was like, no, you can't do it because it will be unfair to the other 3 people. And I was like, which made no sense to me. But then that just made me realize that's just school in a nutshell. Like, they want it exactly in a specific way. Even though there's like 100, maybe millions of ways to just do one task or one thing.
It shouldn't be about rules and getting to a certain result. Like, it should be, how can I kindle this light that this person has? Like, what makes this person like come alive? That's the hardest part. Like, and it's an individual's journey. Like, I don't think anybody can ever like make you do that. I think it has to come through you. Exactly. But like once you get there, everything that's not that is like, why am I doing this shit? You know, like what you just said, like what difference does it make? Right.
Yeah. 100%. That's why like this whole semester, I was like, I want to do this. I'm going to do that. And I put so many things on my plate. And at one point I was like doable. Like, it's not like I told myself like I could do it. So I did do it. Yeah. But at the end, I'm just like, why did I do it? That's the question I did not ask myself. I'm just like, could I do it? Yes, I can. I answered those, but not the why. At the end, I'm just like, so I just cut them off. I'm just like, there's no point.
Yeah. Why is the most important question, in my opinion, ever to ask yourself. Like,
100%. It's also the hardest to answer too.
Yeah. Because it can't be, like, a lot of the times it can't be answered right away. It has to be asked over and over. And then one day you're like, oh yeah, no, it doesn't work for me. Right. Yeah.
Exactly. That, like, I first heard the why question in high school. My choir teacher, I don't know, one day he was just feeling like very like happy, I guess. He's usually like very strict, but he was just being like super chill. And he's all like, you guys got to know why you're doing this. He kept saying that for the whole week.
Damn. I'm just probably heard a video or some shit.
Yeah, he probably like, he watches all these like videos, and then he just randomly watches like Chappelle during class. We're like, okay. So he probably saw a video and he's like old. So he's like, right.
Yeah. It enlightens you. Yeah.
Yeah. It enlightens you. And the whole week I'm just like, dude, just shut up, man. Like, I just want to go eat lunch. Like, I'm already bored. But now I realize that, like, it's been like, what, 5 years later? And I'm just like, wow, like, it's okay to say I don't know when somebody asks you the why question or any question about yourself. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, sometimes you don't.
Because I thought I knew stuff when I was 19. I thought I knew stuff when I was 18. Now I know it differently, or like in a different answer to myself.
Yeah, it changes through years of and experiences and videos or any new knowledge. I think changes it. Changes the perspective. Changes how my relationships should be. Like how can I better improve my happiness or this or that? Like anything can change that. And asking yourself questions like this helps to solve those gaps, right? If you don't ask it, then you'll just like be miserable and not know why. Like, why is it? Why am I like feeling this way about life? Because it could be a variety of things, but to get there, it has to be asked to yourself, right?
100%. Yeah, it's just like you can't expect yourself when maybe like you're a teenager. It's like, you know yourself, like even like no.
You know, like hell no, dude. I didn't get it until maybe I just started getting it at like 19, 20. Like it was there, but I'm still not all the way. Like you could never completely get there. I think it's just always a growing thing that changes.
Exactly, because like right now, like you're in your 20s, right?
Yeah,
you start like beginning 20s.
Yeah,
so it's just like a lot has changed from 19 to 21, but it's going to be even more greater change once you go to like your 30s or even maybe 40s.
Yeah.
So that question of why is always, I'm not saying it's going to change 180, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if it does and that's what it's meant for you, then 100%. But like, it's going to change like here and there for like the greater purpose in a sense, you know?
It doesn't have to be monumental in what you said, but it's the incremental. Like you'll look back over 2 years and see like all the questions and then the growth that you've been through, the process that you've been through, and then look back and you're like, I'm not even that same person anymore.
Exactly.
I'm not, like that person doesn't exist at all.
Yeah.
at all.
Because when I look back to myself in like middle school and high school, I'm just like, oh my God. Like even with just like music, I just wanted to like diss people. Like
really?
My first raps were like just dissing people who did not exist. Where I'm like, I'm the greatest. I'm
the greatest of all time.
I'm just like, who am I dissing? Like, because now I think about it, because I found my old notebooks and I just read them. I'm just like, wow, like I was angry for no reason. It's just funny looking back. But now I'm just like, as you get like older, you realize like, okay, this is what I really feel.
Yeah. If this person that was there, and it's not that it's a bad thing that you were in that space, because if you weren't in that space, you wouldn't have gone to something better.
Exactly.
Right. And that's what I think perfection is. People have this false sense of perfect is only good. Perfect to me is the good and bad. Like life is already perfect. Like whatever you're going through, that's perfect. But the most people's perspective is that I have to have like they have expectations and results that they want, and they can't appreciate where they're at right now. And that's part of it. Like that's the perfection.
Exactly.
You know, like that's where it is. Because if you don't know what a rainy day feels like, you won't appreciate sunny days.
Exactly.
And you won't like if you have terrible days, then you won't appreciate good days and happy days, and like all of that is part of the process.
The process, exactly. It's like if you just get good days every day, this is gonna be boring.
Yeah, boring. That's the experience. Like how else can you create? Like even with music, for example, if you make like you probably made beats that were shitty a few years ago,
very
right? And those shitty beats allow you to make better beats because you learned better things, like you experienced better ways to do it, right? Exactly. And it all comes together. And like we mentioned in the beginning, like the risk to do it in the beginning allows you to go to the place where you actually want to be. It's not going to come right away. It's not going to feel good all the time. It's the process. And When you love what you do, like you'll pay the price.
100%. And the key to that is, like, let's just say you're starting off something. It's gonna be shitty. Like,
It's gonna be shitty, dude.
But it's kind of like, you know who Russ is, the rapper Russ. Like, I actually read his book, and this is what he said. He's all like, even though it's shitty, you gotta tell yourself it's the best, because that's what will make you put your 100% potential in the beginning. It's still gonna be shitty, but for you, it's the best, and you keep doing that until you become the best in a sense. Because if you say, like, in the beginning, like, oh, yeah, this work I did is shitty. Well, you didn't put that. You're just proving to yourself you didn't put all you in it.
Because you're like subconsciously programming your mind to think that it's shitty from the beginning. Exactly. And you're not even. So I think our feeling, when you feel like you're the best, you take different actions, right? And if you feel that I'm not that good, this isn't gonna work out, shit like that. If you have that kind of energy, you're gonna take different actions. And so when you're in that higher state of mind, and the creativity goes to another level too. I don't know if you've experienced that, but I definitely have. Like, when you're when you're enjoying the process for what it is, you're not focusing on other shit. You're just in the moment. The work just turns out better.
Yeah, it just
flows. Everything.
Exactly. Like, the best beats, like, in my opinion, that I've made did not have any systematic process to it.
Yeah.
All the ones that were like cool and all, or just like generic, in my opinion, were the ones where, like, oh yeah, hip hop is like, you got to have like a kick, a snare, and put them together like that. That's why I still try to make myself not use a systematic process. I'm just like, just make music because it's music. Yeah. Not because some dude in some book
said that it had to be this way. Yeah.
I mean, like, cool. Like, if you're totally lost or something, go use it. That's why I said, like, with music theory too, don't get stuck in the rules. Use it as a tool. Doesn't mean you have to be like, okay, I have to do A minor disc chord progression. No, no. Like, that's why I don't want to be disrespectful to the music majors. I always wanted to be a music majors. But I met some, like, people who were just like, even in high school, when I took AP music theory, they'd be like, there used to be like musicians in the class, right? Yeah. And it will always be like, okay, it has to be an A minor, has to be a third chord. Okay, let's make it major instead. And like, to be honest, I didn't know music theory that much. Now it's just like, by experience, I just kind of did it. Now I kind of know. But back then I'm just like, guys, why?
Why?
Why do you have to, like, it's like, I feel like once you put so much things in your head about something, you limit yourself. It's actually counterproductive.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, if you want to learn like the rules and shit, like you're basically setting yourself up to do what's already been done.
Exactly.
You're not going to look at it from a fresh new perspective of let me be inspired by all that's here and create something different, create something that's me, that I want to do. Instead, you're looking at how can I recreate something instead of like being yourself. Like, that's your greatest power, is that, like, just doing you, because you have different ideas than anybody else. But if you keep saying to yourself that it has to be a certain way because this book says it or this professor says it, then you're going to be just like everyone else.
Exactly. That's why, like, just paint your own, like, pictures. That's why I'm still, like, trying to get, because, like, it takes a while.
It takes a long ass time. Yeah.
Because when you start off, even as an artist, like in art, like painting, cooking, or music or dancing, you're going to be similar to someone, because someone's going to inspire you.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing about art. Like, somebody inspired Kendrick Lamar, somebody inspired J. Cole, somebody inspired me.
Yeah.
And like early life experience. So it's like, it's going to be similar. But once you start doing it, it just like, you become your like own entity. And that's like the coolest part. That's like,
even like comedy, like people do impressions of other people and like start off with that.
Yeah.
And then they delve into their own experiences. But that first step of actually getting on stage and getting comfortable around people, if that didn't happen, you wouldn't be comfortable doing it then. So like that first step always leads to something better.
Yeah. It's like Eddie Murphy started off on SNL, and SNL is just like, comedy, you take jabs at
Sketches, yeah.
celebrities or whatever. Now, like, you know, then he went on his own thing, or Dave Chappelle, like, you know, they're like their own entities.
Dave Chappelle supposedly like was already great. Like people say
that's true. Like that man,
he's like a abnormal human being.
Yeah.
Like he came on stage, I think at 15 years old. 15 years old, already like fucking killing.
Yeah, he's just good. And like I actually watch a lot of his interviews too. And like there was this one story where he walked away from 50 million.
Yeah.
And I respected that a lot, because I was just like, in the entertainment business, you know, you hear a lot of these things, even like in a smaller scale, like 50 million's a lot. Yeah. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
But it's just like, have you ever heard like the term like selling your soul in the music industry?
Yeah. And probably the entertainment industry in general, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of like spiritual stories about it, and like a lot of songs. I don't know too much about that.
Yeah.
It's kind of creepy, to be honest. But the term like selling your soul also comes like, you know, when you're in the entertainment business, you get signed to some sort of label or some contract.
They give you a contract, yeah.
And they buy you pretty much. Like, and then like, it's crazy because like, I don't blame the people who sign it. It's just, no one teaches you about this.
Yeah.
Like I myself got stuck into a pretty shady contract before. And like recently, and it was like, you know, like you like Indian parents are always like, don't sign the paper.
Yeah.
But once you get into that real world, the scenario is not what you think it would be, because these kids are like, okay, someone's going to give me a paper. They're probably going to get me drunk or drug me, and they're going to make me sign it. But it's actually just like people who you really know, like people you're friends with, who really pressure you into it. Just like, sign it. That's what they don't teach you. And that's what a lot of people in the entertainment business, like, you know,
they're ignorant, and it's not even like really their fault, but it's just, they might have had to just go through it because they didn't know at all. Exactly.
Cause like, you know, like the label comes and like, we love your music, or we love your art. I
mean, when let's say you come from the slums and don't have shit to your name, and somebody comes here with a 6-figure check and tells you that you're going to be a star, like, what do you do?
Yeah,
right?
you
like,
sign that paper without blinking an eye.
Yeah.
And then the parties come. Like, you know, they give you all of this, and like, you know, they're like, here's the strippers, here's the cocaine, and that's it. You're bought in. Yeah,
you're bought in. And it's sad. Like, it's sad that that's how it has worked for a long time, and it could change. Like, people are being aware of it. Like Russ, for example, he's an independent artist still, like doing shit, and he's top artist. Like, no,
and that's the cool part, because of this internet, like the internet boom. Yeah. Before, like in the 90s, there was no such thing as like independent artists.
Yeah, hell no.
Like, they would probably call you like those people who like go around with like a guitar, like he's an independent artist. Like, it was messed up. Yeah. Now, because of like the internet, like
anybody could fucking make it.
Right? I don't need a deal, nothing. I can make like some stupid beat, write some like mumble rap on it, and just publish it. And I'll be like, all right, it's gonna be on Spotify in 2 weeks. Go check it out. I actually that's insane, because like, the labels now are like, whoa. Yeah. Where's our monopoly? Because like, if you want to put music out, you had to go through a label. Not anymore. Yeah. I distribute myself. So like, that's why Russ and Chance the Rapper, they proved it. They're independent artists, and they're like, we're not going to sign to anyone, but we're still going to make music.
Yeah. And it's the like weird part about it is the labels try to own your songs. That's fucking messed up, because you, as an independent artist, like, you're trying to like create songs and then put it on Spotify, Apple Music, and then those streams like pay you, right? And if they're owning the songs, then they could say like, okay, you're gonna get only 20% of the revenue of the streams.
20% if you're lucky.
Yeah, 20% if you're lucky.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Because like, let's just say that's like what happened to kind of like Britney Spears. Like, you know, you get an artist, let's just say you have like an angelical voice. Like, we want you. We'll make you to a star. They give you the producer, the A&R, all of these people.
The best studio, best environment.
Best everything. And they were like, here, and they give you $100,000. But here's the catch. It's called a 360 deal. Like, it'll come all the way back. 360. So all this money, you know, what do you do? Like, go buy a Lamborghini. Like, we just give you $1 million. Go buy a Lamborghini.
Mm-hmm.
Go buy yourself some chains.
Yeah.
But then, and then like, here's the best studios. And if your album, let's say now your album is a hit, it's like
sells out.
Like, you have a song with Drake on it. It's amazing. We're going to take most of it. A label. As a label, we're going to take most of it. Because look, we loan you $1 million. Even if it didn't seem like a loan, it technically is.
Mm.
And at the end, it's just like you get money by touring. But at the end of the day, labels are also in control of that. Yeah. Or they could be. Which they will be. They want to be part of your life, business life in a sense, as much as they can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they'll tell you like, hey, you got to post a video about this. You got to go to this city and do a tour here. And we got to do a photo shoot so we could get you on billboards and shit. Like all this shit that they try to control you with. Mm-hmm. And people are fucking understanding now that it doesn't have to be like that, which is empowering. Like that makes people like actually believe that it's possible for them because they could just do the work for themselves and not have to do it to perform for a label or shit like that.
Exactly. Because like at the end of the day, doing that is you're just a puppet. Like like even the music you make is controlled by them. Like I don't know if you've seen have you seen the movie Star is Born?
I didn't see it. No.
Yeah,
I know about it.
It's the one with Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper, and this is one scene where they get married. Spoiler alert! I mean, it's been 2 years. I just watched the movie. It's just that Lady Gaga starts getting into the label, and he's still like an independent artist, just doing country music because that's what he does. Yeah, she was the same too, but the label starts controlling her music. It went from like singing about really heartfelt songs, and then she starts making them like, yeah, boy, I want you tonight. And then and Bradley Cooper's like, that's not you. And that's just like the music industry in a nutshell. It's not you at the end of the day.
It's not you, man. Yeah. Don't sell your soul, kids.
But yeah, I'm glad like the independent artistry is more appreciated and is like coming out to like worldwide scene more.
Yeah, that's the technology and social media especially fucking changed everything.
Exactly.
Because once YouTube and shit said anybody can create, anybody can post, anybody can do whatever, then it opened doors that weren't were closed 100% for so long.
Yeah, and even like thinking about making music in the 90s, you have to have money or like the right label takes you in. Yeah. But like if you're just like, let's just say I'm an independent artist, I just want to record a song, you have to pay a real studio. Yeah. Now you can just have a cheap home studio and you can make hits. Yeah. Like, definitely. Joji by chance?
I think so. Yeah. I listen to a few of his songs.
He just makes music on GarageBand.
Really?
Just in his house. And he makes hits.
Yeah. So it's like a free platform, right? Like I'm pretty sure it comes platform. With the Mac. So.
Yeah, it comes with Mac. I mean, like, he has like studio and he's part of 88 Rising and everything. But
from the beginning of when it wasn't as big, like, to start on that and then just continuing down that.
Exactly. And then now you can make short films too. Like, just get a DSLR, get your iPhone. What am I saying? You don't even need a DSLR, get your iPhone.
Record something. Like the quality is in your hands like all the time. Like you just need to use it. That's
exactly. Like that's why this day and age is like there's a point in like creative, I would say career, you would go where like, I don't have the best utilities. Like if you're an artist, I don't have this so-and-so paintbrush or knife. Yeah. Or if you're a music artist, like, I don't have this microphone. Yeah. I used to be like that too. It was like, the reason my songs are bad is because I don't have the best microphone. See Tory Lanez in those videos using a $4,000 microphone. Yeah. That's a myth. That's a big myth.
Yeah, that's definitely a myth. Because even like, have you seen Tory Lanez and that with Aiden Ross doing that freestyle? Yeah, that was like on a fucking computer microphone.
Exactly.
Whatever, right?
Like it doesn't matter. Like when you're like big, you'll have access to all these microphones. But I used to work with this kid. He was a rapper because like I used to produce albums, and back then we had just very bad equipment, right? Yeah. And we're like, and he's like, bro, if we can make good music on this, then we'll know how to use expensive stuff. Yeah. And
that changed your perspective.
That changed my perspective. I'm just like, whatever I have is not shitty. It's like, at the end of the day, a lotus comes from the mud, a diamond comes from the dirt, right?
Yeah. And then there's also a quote that says, do what you can with what you have when you have it.
Exactly.
Always. Like, that's what I've had in my head. Like, it doesn't matter where I'm at. Like, I'll find something. Like, this place, like, I don't have the best studio in the world, but like, just let's do whatever it takes, you know?
Yeah, because like once you're like in that, like we're starting off, or when you're like a teenager, all of these like equipment, like, oh wow, it's like a Lamborghini.
It feels like you're looking at the end result and you think you have to be there right now.
Exactly.
When the journey of life is like, yeah, you could get there. It's entirely possible, but you have to go through other things. Like, you have to know the shit in order to get to the clouds.
Exactly.
Like, that's how it's part.
Because even if I bought that, let's just say this $5,000 drum machine,
I
don't know how to use it. Like, what am I gonna do?
What the fuck am I doing here? This is a waste of money. And then like 10 years down the line, okay, I finally got to know how to use it.
Exactly. It's like buying a Lamborghini and not knowing how to drive.
Yeah.
Like, there's no point of you buying it.
Yeah, there's a time for everything, in my opinion.
Exactly.
And the sooner you understand that right now where I'm at is like perfect. I don't have to fucking have different results, but if I want a certain result, let me think differently, because the thought changes the action and they'll let you get to the result that you want.
Exactly. The limited you are, the more creative you are too. Like, if you don't have everything, you're just going to be like, you're not even going to be probably, let's just say I have like a full on Dr. Dre studio.
Yeah.
Half the things I'm going to be like, how do I use this? And half the time I'm just going to be like, okay, it's just going to be more generic.
More generic. Yeah. Yeah. It's not the same. When you go through the struggle, it builds you more than anything else. Like, it's not, if it's all handed to you, where's the experience? Where's like the stories you get to tell? Where's the inspiration? And then one thing leads to another. Like that's the whole process. Like the journey. That's why they say the journey is more important than the destination.
100%. Even like if I wanted to buy like that drum machine, I wouldn't necessarily be like, oh, I earned it because I saved money, but I earned it because I got my skills up. I have the ability to now. Because I use all the shitty gear and I became the man himself to get to this level. That's what, like, just how I look at things.
Yeah. That's how anybody should look at their craft. You know, it doesn't matter where you are. It's good to have goals. It's good to have aspirations. Like, I think that's like, if you don't have that, if you don't think that you could get somewhere, you've already lost.
100%.
You've already lost, because the aspiration as human beings, we need something to go after. Like, there have been times in my life where I've had no desires. Like, I've had them, but like, it's just, I didn't focus on it. I didn't do shit with it. And I felt miserable all the time. Miserable, depressed, didn't give a fuck about life. But the second I found something that I could go after, like there was a vision for it, every day seemed like a joyous event. Yeah. Every day felt like, okay, let me get up in the morning and then I have this thing to go after, and it's a journey. Like, that's where you learn. That's where you grow. The stretch you have to do to get there, that's the best part of life.
Exactly.
That's the best part. Like, nothing in my opinion comes close to that feeling of growth, when you know that this is who I was born to be. Like, that's
exactly. Because the journey, I like how you said, because the journey is very important. It's also the most like fun. Yeah. Because once you're done with this phase in life, it's not going to come back. Like, there's not going to be times where I'm like sitting with my friends in the studio making stupid beats and just no rules, right? Because as you get older, there's always going to be more obligations too. So the journey and whatever you do now, just do it.
Fucking because like it. And all the young people listening to this, fucking find your shit and do it, because I'm telling you, once that knowledge of this is my passion and my purpose, your life will change. drastically. I think the first time, like before I talked to you about how I started this podcast, right? And my entire like personality changed when I started it. Like from that point on, I was a different human being because I was bringing my ideas. Like, I don't know where the fuck ideas come from, but I had this idea of who I can become. And when you get closer to that imagination, like you can actually fucking do it. Like
exactly.
The things you can imagine, like that thing is already here, in my opinion. It's just, you have to become the person.
100%.
And there's this quote by Jim Rohn. He said, success is something you attract by the person you become. It's not something that you like have to like that you go after all the time. It's something that you have to become internally, and it will come to you. That's changed my life as well.
It's all about the mindset.
All about, like, that's all of life, I think.
Yeah.
Not like there's nothing else besides that.
You can be born like I don't know, being the best like figure skater or something. But if you keep telling yourself like, oh, it's not gonna happen, you're not gonna be. Yeah. Even if you are.
It's all perspective and how you perceive it. Nothing here, like in my opinion, nothing that we have around us is a true perception, because we can only see from our human eyes, our human touch, our human senses. That's all we could perceive this world.
Yeah.
We don't know if this is actually how it is. It's just how we think it is based on this perception. Right? To an ant, it's different. To a dolphin, it's different. They have different perception on how to view this world.
Yeah, even from human to human too.
Yeah, human to human. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's completely different. And then when you gain that awareness, you can understand that, like, if I could change the perspective to whatever I want, like if there's a good thing or if there's any situation, I don't have to look at it as negative all the time. That's what has happened, in my opinion, recently. And I mean, it's always been like this, but negative energy is somehow easier to have in you than positive.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
And that's why most people are fucking negative and listen to the news all day and talk about problems and complain and criticize and condemn all day long. Yeah. Because it's easy. It's easy to fucking be negative all the time.
And it's easy to also absorb from people too. That's why people like love drama or loves look at TMZs or your random, like you go to like a like Ralph's or something, your celebrity news. Yeah. Cause it's just how humans are wired. Like, oh, Tom Cruise did what?
Yeah. Yeah. Anything bad. Like if he did something good, it wouldn't even be on the front page.
Exactly.
Would it be on the front page?
Like if you see like Indian kid donate 6 million to an orphanage or something, I'm like, okay, cool. Like, what if you see like, oh, some celebrity cheated on his wife or something? Negative news, you absorb it so quick. Like, oh, I want to buy this now.
Yeah, even recently, like there was a shooting in Michigan that was like right away on the news. Like it was on the news, and I'm not saying that it shouldn't be like it. Of course, you should spread awareness about this stuff, but it can't be that always. Like there's more to life than problems and negativity. There's more to life than that, but for some reason, I don't know why, but it's always harder to look at it positive. For some reason, I don't know.
It's interesting because I always wondered why that was. It's just like something to do with like the mechanism of your brain. Because like if you go on YouTube, like I was actually watching this video of a 6-car crash yesterday, and it had I think like 11 million views.
Damn.
And then I clicked on it because I was just like, "What do you mean 6-car?" And I was like, I watched it and I was like, "Wow, that was crazy."
Crazy, yeah.
And then the recommended comes up. Car crash compilations, animal attacks compilation. I'm like, I gotta watch this now.
Yeah. So it puts you in this rabbit hole.
Yeah, and it puts me in a rabbit hole. I'm just like, then I thought to myself, I'm like, why is this entertaining? To be honest, this shit's scary.
I know.
Like people getting into car accidents planes getting crashed, but there's so many of these compilation videos on YouTube
with millions of views,
millions of comments.
Damn.
And I'm just like, what in the brain? Like, it's just like a human thing. Cause like, it's not just me. Like, if it was just me, I'm like, okay, maybe I'm just like, maybe I have like psychosis or something, but it's everybody.
Yeah.
That's why you care more about, I don't know, Minty's relationship in high school than like something that's more positive or something. You know?
Yeah. And I've learned that it's individual's responsibility to retrain yourself to focus on positive shit.
Exactly.
Like once I heard that, oh shit, it's a choice. If somebody says something hateful, it's my choice to accept the hate. It's my choice. Like, should I look at it and then respond with more hate? Will that benefit me? No. Can I respond with love? Yes.
Exactly.
Like that understanding of it's a choice to pick whatever it is, positive or negative. And I'm not saying like that negativity shouldn't exist or anything. Like it's there for a reason. I mean, if there wasn't negativity, there wouldn't be positivity.
100%.
Right?
It's just like, I'm not really like a spiritual person or something, but I do believe in some stuff. Like, it's just like they're charges.
Yeah.
You got a positive charge and a negative charge. You need it for balance.
It's a balance.
Yeah. And that's what I believe in karma. I don't really believe that karma is like what goes around. Like, in a sense that, something will happen because of some divine source. Because I don't know, to be honest. All I see is like karma is like, it's what goes around comes around. If you're going around people and you're saying positive things like, hey man, or helping people out, you will be greeted with positive people. If I go around being a dick and saying like fuck you to everybody I see, people are going to be a dick to me back. It's just how
it works. Like, I don't know why the fuck the universe like works so much on energy, but it does. Like there's something about energy that everything can feel it. Like all living things can feel your energy.
100%.
Right?
Like, even like we're sitting in this podcast, if I'm giving like a very mellow energy, this is going to be a pretty boring podcast. Like, it's just like, because once I give, or you give your like positive energy, I give mine. Like, it just, like you said, it's attractive.
It's attractive.
It's an attractive force.
I've learned that through listening to other people's podcasts too, where if they're positive, they're upbeat, you could fucking hear it in your speakers or whatever. Like, you could feel the emotion of their tone, how they're speaking, the pauses they make, like all that plays into part, and it comes through the way that they're feeling right now. And it's fucking crazy how it all works. But sometimes I have those deep thoughts of like, wait, how does this shit like impact us? Like, why are we here? And all these questions of like the universe and shit. And I think a lot of it is going to be a mystery forever. Like, I don't think we're ever going to delve into like everything, because there's so much. Like, even right now we're starting to go into quantum physics and realize like once you like split apart an atom, like that's quantum physics, like going into the molecular structure of an atom and going beneath that. Like, how far can this fucking go? Right. And what makes up this universe? Like, if atoms are in everything and everything's like energy, like how far does it go? And is there like a divine source or anything like that? It's wild to think about.
Yeah, it's like wild. Like, I've been like just like looking at like things about like how does this work? Because like you said, like energy, like
we know about it, but we can't ever see it. We can't see it. It can only be felt, and it's not even felt in the sense of felt like this. It's felt internal, which is also weird. Like,
it's weird. Like, how do you feel sad?
Yeah.
How do you feel happy? It's just like some chemical reaction in your body, but like, how is this like even made?
Yeah, I know. There was I listened to a speech by Wayne Dyer, and he said, as scientists like began to uncover like the human body and stuff, like they've gotten to the point where we know what happens. Like if you want to move your finger, like I'm just like moving my finger and moving my hand. I'm not really thinking about this stuff really. Like it's coming to me naturally. And we want to try to understand like why this happens. So we go to what we call the brain, right? Mm-hmm. And we look and we see scans of the brain and we see, okay, this place of the brain is doing the hand gestures. This place of the brain is how you feel. This place of the brain is where you feel, or where chemicals are released and stuff like this. And he said, that's basically the command center of what mm-hmm. our body does, right? And he's like, but who's the fucking commander? We don't know that.
we don't know that.
Like, what's this thing? What's this consciousness? You know, it's
crazy. Like, yeah, because like those are like those like high thoughts where like it just doesn't make sense and there's no answer to it.
Yeah, there's really no answer. But it's amazing to me how humans are able to comprehend it. Like we're able to comprehend it. We just might not know the answer to it like definitively, but we're aware of it to a certain extent. Exactly. We're aware of it like no other animal. Like that's, I think what makes us unique is that awareness. Like we're not only aware of ourselves and like what we need to do to survive and shit. Mm-hmm. We're aware of how other animals behave and act and why they are the way they are. All this shit. It's crazy.
It's crazy. Like it's hard. It's like hard to like even like fathom it.
Yeah. It goes like, and I think that's why there's like religion and shit is because of that.
Course. That's like
we need answers, and that's
we need answers because like who are we?
Yeah.
Why are we here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it gives people like a sort of understanding and hope in whatever their struggle is. Like even if there like isn't a sort of direction, like they could find direction through that.
Exactly.
And, like I've never been a religious person, but it's fascinating to learn about. Like I've read a lot of it and watch videos on it and shit. Like it's fascinating stuff.
It's very fascinating. I've been actually, it's funny you bring it up because I've been like slowly like researching stuff about it too. Like it's just, there's so many things. Like even like those like anti-religions too, like they have a perspective too. I mean, like
anti-religions, what are those?
Like Satanism or something.
Oh, okay.
I'm not saying like, let's just be clear. Yeah. I'm not saying I'm like a Satanist or any sort of that, but you know what the dark web is or the deep web?
I've heard about it, like where people buy some like weird shit.
Yeah. I mean, most of them are kind of like myth. Like so in high school, me and my friends, like we created like a virtual machine and we went on it, right? And then there was this one website that generates a bunch of deep web links. You click on some, most of them don't work, but this one thing did work.
Yeah. And
it was this really dark website with red letters.
Damn.
I was like, okay, this is all these spooky as heck. Okay. Yeah. I'm like, what is going on? And then the title was like, Hollywood makes Satanism look bad or something like that. It was like the myths about Satanism. I'm like, what? What is this? And my friend are like, okay, we got to read this. And it was kind of weird. Like, I don't know, like who wrote it, where it came from. It's just a random website, but it was just showing like how these like movies and how these articles like written by like a Hollywood series, like, it show like this cult like figures in a forest doing some shady shit, like cutting animals up and stuff. But it was weird. Like, I mean, I like didn't believe in it, but it was just like how I was saying, like, it's just a regular religion.
Yeah, it's interesting, like, perspective that this comes about, right?
Exactly. I'm just like, okay, like, because you never would go and see a perspective of a Satanist or like
learn about it. Yeah,
exactly. Or like a cult member. Like, you want to just like interview them, right? Yeah. It's just you just see these movies and stuff. So I was like, okay, that's why it interested me. I'm just like, okay, maybe if this is really a person who believes in this stuff, I want to see like, what is your reasoning behind this?
Why do that?
Yeah, and it was like this big article, and I talked about how like the religion they formed or they believe in has a lot of stuff from like Catholicism, Hinduism. So I was just like, that's weird. like
Yeah,
they practice that
doesn't
stuff
mention
too.
that shit in the actual like
Yeah.
Hinduism or
Exactly.
stuff. So
I don't know if it's like true or not,
Yeah.
or like these guys are just. It could just be like a random 13-year-old making this website, but like reading it, I'm just like, okay, if this is true, I'm just like, you're just kind of proving that you're like everybody's human, even if like that stuff is creepy. Because in the article, they're like, yeah, we don't kill people, we don't cut up like animals and do like some shady things. We actually take a lot of religions and mix them together, and that's what their website said. So I was like, okay, if that's your perspective, you do you, bro.
I know that my perspective is I take things from everything, and it doesn't have to be a fucking religion. Like what says that I have to believe something and line by line believe in just that? Like there's other shit over here that I could also learn.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, cause like my family, like we grew up like hardcore Hindus, like, but I wasn't too much, cause like the reason maybe is because like I grew up in America, and it's harder to, cause in India if you're in the village, like you go to a temple, cause it's like right there. Going to the temple in America is like
not,
you have to plan the day out.
Plan it a week ahead or some shit.
That's why I was never religious, but like as I grew older, it's like I met a lot of people who were like Christian, or a lot of people who were Muslim, and that was like very fascinating. Like all these cultures. So more than religion, I'm more into like the culture. And, like,
culture.
Like, I went to a Muslim wedding last week. It was very interesting because it was actually very short.
Really?
Because Hindu weddings, they go for like,
long as fuck.
They go for hours. Yeah. And this one was just really cool to like explain to him, like, don't, and then he was cool, like the priest, or I don't know what they
whatever it's called.
Yeah, and he was actually speaking in English, because like usually like when I go to a temple or a wedding, it's like in like Sanskrit or whatever, and I don't understand.
They're reading it from like the book and like reciting it.
Yeah, but this guy was cool. He said it in English and he explained what this means. He's like, I don't want to. He was like, I don't want to say it just to say it. I want you guys understand it.
Yeah,
and he explained what it meant. Like he was saying like, your husband should take care of you, and like your wife should take care of you. And he was joking around like, if your husband gets mad, I know biryani, we love that shit. And I was like, this is cool. Like, this actually makes sense.
Yeah, it's enjoyable too.
It's enjoyable because I'm just like sitting there and like listening to like slokas, but I don't understand. Yeah, and it was interesting. I was like, wow. And like I went to an actual like wedding, like a Christian wedding, and that's like a lot different too, where you say your vows and that's why I love the culture more than like, oh, I have to believe in this or I have to do this, because
experience everything. It's all here, right? And that's the great thing about like I'm appreciative of growing up in America, because in a lot of other countries you don't see a diverse group of people at all. Like if you go to China, you'll or go to a school there, you'll only see Chinese students. Like that's it.
Exactly.
Right. And over here, I grew up with a diverse classmate, like class group. It was never that there was only white people. It was never that there's only black people. It was always a mix of people. Always.
That's what I love.
Yeah. And it never dawned on me that other people don't have the same. Like I thought everybody was like diverse and shit. Like everybody loved each other and like grew up together, and like there was a mix of people that all got along. Never did I think it was the opposite until years later. And I was like, wait, so you're telling me that people don't grow up in a diverse culture like this?
Yeah.
It's wild. Yeah.
It's crazy. But like, I love it though. Cause
I wouldn't change it. Like I wouldn't have it any other way.
Cause I actually lived in India for a year.
Really?
Yeah. And like, of course, like.
At what age? Like when were?
I was like 5.
Oh, okay.
But I still remember, because it was just like, I came from America and my parents didn't get a green card. So my mom, my sister and me, we just moved back. And I grew up in Chennai. The thing is, I'm from Andhra Pradesh, so I speak Telugu. Back then, I didn't know how to speak Tamil at all. Now I know a little bit here and there. Yeah. So that was hard. Like I was just like, you guys are all speaking in Tamil, and like I don't understand what you're saying. And I was very quiet as a kid. So I was just
observing everything.
Because in America, you have like everybody. Like I grew up here, like in I don't know if you know a place called Rolling Heights.
I've heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I grew up there. So it was pretty diverse. Like, there was like couple of Indian people, Nepal people. There were like a lot of Mexican people, and it was great. We were all just like hanging out. But like I went to India, it was just strict.
Only Indians,
and it was like only dumplings because it was that part of the state.
It's crazy.
So it took a while, and I came back here, and it was just like okay, it was like back to diverse, and then I moved to Irvine a couple years later, and it was pretty diverse. Yeah.
That it's crazy to think about like those separations. Like in India, religion has a lot to do with the distinctions between people. Like if you believe a certain religion or you speak a different language or any of that shit, like you live in a different area and stuff. Like I've never thought of that over here because like some people speak Spanish, some people speak Chinese, like some people speak English, like all of it's a mixture and it doesn't really matter like where the fuck you live or where you work or what you do. Like all of it's freedom, and that's like the biggest part. Like the fucking whoever or the founding fathers knew like that it was right, like for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Like that's the biggest thing ever. Right. If you're living in a place that doesn't have freedom for people, for all people, no matter what, as like the first thing, it's not going to be like a productive country. It's not going to be a country filled with happiness. And like, even though this isn't, we still have problems and shit. Like there's always going to be problems, but at least we have freedom to do whatever the fuck we want. Like as long as it doesn't harm other people, like we're able to express ourselves. We're able to create. We're able to do whatever. Like that's why there's so much technology that comes from here. Like so many great inventors and music that comes here, films that come here. Like all this shit is due in part because there's the freedom to do it.
100%. Yeah. That's why I love living here because it's like you have a sense of that. What you said, you have
there's something in the air too. Like,
there's something in the air.
There's even though like I've traveled to a lot of different places and I'm grateful for that, like different countries, and they all have their unique things. Like none of them are bad, but when you go to a country like, let's say, France or something, right? It's more of a slower pace of life, and people are there to like enjoy, like they like wine and they like to sit down at bars and they'll take breaks in between work and meet up with their friends, and all that's just part of their culture. But over here, it's more of a faster pace, and people are like, all people over here, it seems like they have like ambitions and going for something.
That is true.
It's different.
That's the one thing that can get in like the way, because like you're right. Like even in like India, like it's very family based. Yeah, and I love that. I love being social. Sometimes like places I worked here, or just like collaborative teams, it's just like sometimes everybody has their own agenda. You know, it's not like. That's why I know America is the land of hustle. Like
land of hustle,
yeah, it's the land of hustle for sure. Like you have to.
There's pros and cons to it. Like yes, there's that's why we have the like technology and the stuff that we do have, the stuff that we do create is all here, and these people are able to create stuff. But at the same time, it does take away from the family life and take away from like your personal. Like having time to yourself and stuff.
Yeah, I realized that actually time to yourself, like me time, is so important.
So important.
I barely get that these days, and I realize like because before like I was just like watch YouTubers, and that's me time. You know? Now like with all like school and all everything, like you realize how important me time is.
I need to have like at least an hour or two like by myself at least. Like every day, or else I won't even like function properly in society.
I was like, nobody texts me. I'm like, I'm not gonna reply for the next like 30 to an hour. I'm just gonna watch random videos on YouTube.
It's you need that time because this solitude allows you to like clear up those thoughts that are just there in your mind. Like, but if you're always involved in something, you're always in a social environment, then you're only thinking of other people and everything around you. You never get to think about yourself. And there's something about the humans that we need to be able to focus on ourselves and get our mind right in order for us to do well in anything. Like if that's fucked up inside, it's going to be fucked up outside.
Exactly.
Always.
Like you're going to start dreading what you love. And that's like the worst thing once you turn something that's positive into your negative.
Yeah. That's the worst.
Exactly. And then like, that's why I feel like I watch all these like videos on like YouTube and stuff, right? Like, you know, those things are like these like Grant Cardone or all these rich people. They're like, yeah, I work literally 24 hours a day. Like, I mean, I respect these guys because like, you know, these guys are billionaires. Yeah. The inventors, just money men, right? And of course, like everybody loves money. But like one problem I realized recently is that all these videos are like, you gotta work all the time, quit the video games, quit hanging out with your friends. Like, you know those videos?
Yeah. Where they say that it's only about work and that's it. Like, just do this and that's your life now.
Exactly. At one point, I thought that was like the way. Like, you know, for me, like I was like, that is the way.
Fuck everybody else. You know?
Not even that. Like I'm going to like make $1 million, $1 billion if I just keep doing this. Which is, I probably can. I probably will if I do it like this. Yeah. But then I did start doing that. Like the beginning of the semester, I was just like work. And I always seeing results like faster than I thought I would. Because I was like, I'm going to see it. Yeah. But it was just like, okay, but it's just like
fulfilling. It wasn't fulfilling.
It just knocks your mental health down. I'm just like, okay, yeah, my friends are having fun too. Like, I'm like, I'm only 20. Like, that's why I say like, yeah, if you really want to, your whole ambition is just making $1 billion. I don't think that's really ambitious.
Yeah, it's not. Because you gotta ask yourself why $1 billion. Like this one also by Jim Rohn. I listened to one of his talks and he was talking to his mentor, right? And his mentor, he was writing down his goals. His mentor told him, you have no goals. So I want you to write down a few of your goals. And he said, why don't you set a goal to become a millionaire? It has a nice ring to it, right? Is it enough zeros to impress your accountant? Why not set a goal? And his mentor said, and set that goal not for the money. And Jim Rohn was like, well, why? What? That's why people set a goal to become a millionaire. I like money. Why not for the money? And he said, set a goal to become a millionaire for what it would make of you to achieve it. And that changed fucking everything for me because I looked at everything that I wanted and realized it's not for the thing, it's who I become in the process.
Exactly.
And then I restructured it to shit that I like because you don't want to do shit and become the person that you don't want to be. Exactly. And do shit that like that's depressing. So I shifted everything to what makes me happy. And that's when like all the quotes that you see that are like cheesy and shit, they started making sense. Like happiness is the way. Like
happiness is the way.
Like, all that shit started making sense because that's how it is. Like that's life. Like these people, thousands of people or millions and millions of people have lived before us that have gone through life and have written lessons down in books and taught different people. And now you're able to view this information through quotes and like his videos on YouTube. Like anybody could go watch that shit. Exactly. And it changes your perspective into something that's more aligned with who you really are. Exactly.
Because like it's memories. In my opinion, I feel like memories are the most valuable currency that you can hold. Like the thing is like, if you just work, and then finally hit your goal of $1 billion. Yeah. What are you going to do with that? Yeah. Like I always thought about like all these like billionaires, like, I understand like if you're an Elon Musk, he had a purpose. Like he's like, I want to do this for.
I don't think you could get there without it. Like,
yeah, exactly. He had a purpose, but like I see a lot of these like, cause I understand Elon Musk or Bill Gates, like, they want to create a software. There was a purpose to it. Yeah. Like, it was their passion. Yeah. But I see some of these like millionaires that I'm just seeing, it was like, yeah, I've done this trading because I don't want, it's just purely for the money, and you work your ass off just for the money.
Yeah.
You buy yourself a couple $1 billion cars. And I'm just like, okay, what's the point? And I realize, like, as I'm getting a little older, that the most valuable currency is memories. Like, I rather go on like some like random ass hike with my friends, or like, you know, go to a party sometimes. Yeah, work ethic should always be there. Like, you know, but I don't understand just only working. Like, life is life. Like, go have fun. Like,
yeah. And that's like we talked about the journey, like those things, if it's only about one thing, then you'll lose out on so much more experiences that will help you even with that thing that you're working towards. Like,
exactly.
Inspiration comes in many different forms. Like
100%.
It's not just going to come from this one pursuit that's there, right?
Exactly. If you sit in one room or you two, you're not going to get it. That's why, like, when I'm like going to a party, it's a party or a hike to the beach, I'm still racking up my inspiration points, if I may say. Like, I come back, I'm just like, you know, that made me feel something. This made me feel something. I want to write about it. You know, it's like, that's why I feel like whenever you like, I know like all these like Instagram videos are telling like these kids to like always work, hustle. No. And like, if whoever's watching this podcast, like also have fun. Like, you know,
always like believe that yes, it's important to like not be fucking lazy all the time and sit your ass on the couch all day. But yeah, sometimes do that.
Exactly.
Sometimes do that.
Exactly. Like, it's not like, I don't want to hate myself for like laying on my bed on my phone watching YouTube. Yeah. Like, it's fine to be lazy sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, just like there was this point where I was telling you like, oh, I'm watching YouTube, I should stop it right now. Go do music because I have time. It wouldn't come out.
Yeah, it wouldn't, because it's forced. It's forced into like, and yeah, that's one of the biggest things is where we always want something. Like whenever we, like for example, when I want to, let's say, create an Instagram post, like I have to have like certain ideas and what I want to have that happen, right? But if I say I have to have an Instagram post by 3 p.m., it never works.
Oh yeah.
Never. But when I just let it be and let life flow, and then the idea comes randomly while having lunch or whatever, then I get it like going, right? And it's never that I have to force it. And so I just let go all the time. Anytime that I think that I have to restrict myself, that there's a deadline that I have to do in order to create this thing, no, I'm not going to have anything. Like, even if it doesn't come that day, I'm patient enough to wait the next day, and the next day it fucking comes something even better than what I had before.
Exactly,
right?
100%. You just gotta like let like life flow, and also this is a big thing I like noticed too. Let random accidents and like let them embrace you.
Yeah,
like you'll
realize that there's really no fucking accidents. It's all like meant to be, like always happens for a reason.
Exactly. Like we said, like who's the commander?
Yeah,
because I wrote this song one time called Broken Headlights, and I was producing the track just on a normal day. Like, I didn't have any ideas, just producing. Yeah, the thing is, my computer's very glitchy. Okay, it pisses me off a lot because it just randomly goes off on me.
Yeah,
so I got this random kick sample, goes like pop, and then just a snare sample. I put it in my Logic Pro software. I don't know what happened. It started distorting the heck out of it.
Damn.
So when I was playing it, it was like, I was like, wait a minute. This is kind of vibey. It sounded like Kanye West, like Yeezus drums. Like, it was very gritty drums. So I'm just like, all right, this is what I want to use. I just kept it.
Yeah.
It was like distorting. Well, obviously I fixed like the clipping because like you have to, or like, it's not.
You made
really
adjustments to something
I made
that happened by accident.
A distortion, so it sounded like that, and I was like, and to make the whole beat off just that part. I'm just like, inspiration just clicked. I was like, wait a minute, this sounds wicked.
Random. Yeah. That's it's amazing how life works that way. The randomest shit, like always thinking in the present moment that it's random, but then a month goes by and you think like, okay, that's why it had to happen.
Exactly.
It's wild.
It's crazy. Like so many like stories like this is like accidental, like where I'm just like, wow, I don't think I would have just thought of that just happened.
Yeah. It I don't think there's any accidents. Like if it happens to you, like then it's part of it, even if it's negative. Even if it's like, let's say like you're instead of the like or the file that you put in got distorted, you made the song and the whole fucking file got destroyed because you forgot to save it.
Yeah,
like that's part of it too. Like, that's also great.
That's all. Like maybe it's not meant to be. Like no, maybe not supposed to release that. Yeah, I've done stuff like that before, where like or it gets corrupted and you're just like, oh come on.
Yeah.
Oh. Especially if it's a client's work, where
really.
Yeah,
because you had to redo it and shit.
Oh yeah, and sometimes clients are not happy. Sometimes the clients don't know exactly what they want, so you just say something they probably found on Google, and I can tell because I'm just like, yo, like no one does this anymore. Yeah. Because have you ever worked with like clients or anything? Like,
no.
Like editing.
Like, clients in what way do you?
Like for example, in my case, they'll be like, hey, could you record me and mix it and send it back to me. That's usually what the ones I get. And they're usually like aunties who come, like Indian aunties. Like, hey, really? Like I know, like, you know, it's a home studio.
They come in the studio.
Yeah. And they always say, cause like, it's not really a studio, it's just a bedroom. Yeah. But like, you know, I gotta flex on them a little. So like, yeah, come to the studio and they come and they're like, oh yeah, this is Rom's studio. Like, but yeah, like stuff like that. Like, do you ever like edit for?
No, I don't. I could, but it's not something that I enjoy. Like other people's shit. Yeah, go ahead. But like, I think I'm best when like I get 100% involved in my shit. Like 100%. I don't have to go through other people to see if it's good. Like I could just put it out if I want to. Exactly. 100% freedom.
100%. I like that too. Yeah. Like whenever I collaborate, or not collaborate, I like collaborating, which is like you're actually working on a similar goal. That's what collaboration is, right? And
then with people that collaborate, it's better because the other person also has the mindset of let us both do this. It doesn't have to be only my way. That's exactly the thing, right.
That's a cool part because you learn a lot more stuff. But once like I don't like really doing client. I used to do it to like, you know, kind of get like in a sense more experience or like clout. Like, hey, like I've done all these people. Yeah. But it used to be like nothing I wanted to like nothing I would do personally. Like nothing that came off from my heart or from my head. It was just like, hey, dude, I want to like this. I want to like this. I'm just like, yo, at this point, I can just go work at a cubicle. Like, it's the same shit. Like,
it's the same shit. Yeah. I've lost the way of why I started. Like, in the first place, why was it so exciting? And it was because that I had an idea and I managed to create it into reality. Like, exactly. And the second, like, other people's hands get in there, it's lost.
It's lost.
Yeah. It never comes out because a human's creativity comes with the freedom to do it. Like we talked about, it never comes from somebody forcing. Like if you tell, let's say you have a graphic designer or somebody working for you. If you just tell them like, hey, here's the exact thing I want, and they create it. Yeah, they'll create it and shit. But that doesn't make them feel anything. Like if you tell them, hey, I have this idea for a t-shirt. There's a dragon in it and this and that. Like put this text in it, but I'm gonna give you 100% creative control on everything that you want. They'll get their brain thinking like exactly like how can I figure this out? How can I make it how it would look cool and shit? Like that kind of creativity comes about because you leave it up to them.
Yeah, 100% agree with that too. Like when I used to work with a couple of rappers, I used to make the beat with what I felt, like what I'm feeling and stuff. Yeah. And then when I give the beat to the artist, this one in particular, he would always be like, what do you want me to write about? Right? He was always used to ask that question. I'm like, I don't have an answer to that question. Like, like write what you feel. And like you used to write. So what I started doing is I do the beat or the production with some mindset, whatever it is, with some feeling.
Yeah.
And I would name the beat creatively with my feeling. And in one particular, I made this song and then put like an orchestra and I put strings and everything. And it was very like, it felt like more like an inspiring type of beat. And I called it A World Without You. That's what I named it. And I sent the beat off to the artist. And he's like, what do you mean by a world without you? I'm like, I can't tell you that, is what I told him this time. This time I was like, I cannot tell you that. I want you to figure it out, what it means to you.
Feel it for yourself. Right?
Yeah. And he probably did one of the best songs he ever wrote because it was like full on just straight from his heart about himself. And he called it Clouded. And he named the song Clouded Judgment. And I was like, this is it? I'm like, I felt something else. You felt something else. Like, you know,
that's like the best feeling ever.
Exactly.
It works for everybody. Like it worked out for you and him. Right?
Yeah, exactly. So from then on, I just like, if I made like a trappy beat, I would just name it like Gucci shoes or something. And I was like, now you get inspired. Go write something.
Yeah,
like,
go write something. Yeah. That's crazy though.
Yeah.
How it all comes together.
Exactly. It's crazy.
Yeah. Let's see how long it is. Guess how long we've been going for.
How long have we been going for?
1 hour and 24 minutes.
Oh, wow.
See, I told you.
Yeah,
like,
it just goes by.
Yeah,
it just goes by.
Yeah, every guest that I've had is like, I don't know about this. I'm nervous and shit. I'm like, trust me, I was nervous the first time I did this shit. And I went for an hour. Like it was.
Yeah, I was kind of nervous too. I'm just like, I've never done a podcast, but I always wanted to. That's why I wanted to hit you up because like I saw a couple of my friends on the podcast.
Yeah,
it's like,
cool
like Yash and Bob, and I'm like, okay, I got to get on this too. Like, this is cool. And you hit me up like right before I texted you. I was like, wow.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I've always had like a good feeling about when doing a podcast with people, like especially the first time I did it, I was fucking nervous as fuck. Like my heart was beating, pounding. The first time I ever did an interview with somebody, I had to have notes. Like it never came out as I wanted to because the skills weren't there. But it's because I've done like over 100 of these now that I've gotten to the point where I'm able to articulate myself, have conversations flow like this. We wouldn't, usually it would take me like, I would have to like write down shit for you and like have it in my mind and then ask you these questions and shit. But now I trust that I will already have the ideas come naturally based on what you're saying.
Cause you're more comfortable with it.
Yeah, more comfortable. And it just comes through with practice. Like it
100%. Yeah.
Like all the shitty ones. Like if you look back at maybe the first, I'd say like 20 episodes, all of them are like shit, garbage. Like I would never listen to those again. Yeah. I mean, some people do it. I see the views on them. Like they just go up every day. So people are listening, but I never listen to my shit. Like every time I record an episode, once I edit it, I never listen to it again because there's something about, I don't know, listening to your own voice and shit.
Yeah, same. That's why I'm still like fighting the urge to like record myself because like I'm not a rapper or like a singer by any chance, but like it's fun doing it. But like after I put the song out, I don't listen to it.
I don't listen to it at all. It's not that I don't think it's good, like or great, but I let other people just fucking listen to it and understand it for themselves.
Exactly.
Because you don't want to lose or you don't want to lose your confidence like just because I should have said this instead and all that. Fuck that. Exactly. I let it be all of it because all the episodes that I did that were shit, like there were a few that I know like I really fucked up. It wasn't that my mind wasn't in it all the way. I was focusing on something else. But if that didn't happen, I wouldn't have gained the understanding of I need to be present in the moment. I've been thinking about shit that happened yesterday or is going to happen or thinking of thoughts like that. Instead, let me just enjoy the conversation for what it is and it'll come naturally. And the more I practice that, the better the podcast has been. Like the better the episodes, the more views, the more everything, like everything just grew because I started to trust in myself that it's already good, you know?
Exactly. And for any content creators out there too, like us, just keep making content. I realize that too. Like someone cannot be a fan of you if you just have like one thing. I've learned that too. That's why I've been trying like this, like, you know, put content out.
And just the biggest fear I think people have is either the fear of failure or the fear of judgment of others. And first off, the fear of failure, you're going to fail no matter what. Like, so if you're afraid of failure, you're going to fail no matter what. The only thing, the only real true failure is quitting and quitting and regretting that. Why'd you quit? That's the only biggest failure there is. Everything else is a lesson. Like I never look at a mistake made or like if I didn't press record on a camera or anything like that. I never think of it as a failure. It's only a lesson. Like that's just
now
the next
time you check it twice, right?
Check it twice. That's how it is. Or when a guest bails on me last second because they have some other thing. Like I don't have anxiety over it anymore because it's just meant to be. Like it'll happen the next time.
It happened. Right? Like, you know, we'll do another one next time. Exactly.
That's how it always is. And the more you trust it, it'll solve everything. And then the other fear, what was it? The fear of other people's judgment. Yeah. Oh my God. That shit will kill you because we're so programmed at a young age to follow, especially with parents and friends and shit. Like I have to gain trust from other people. I have to obey these rules to get admiration from them. Right. And as you grow older, you'll start to realize that none of that shit really mattered anyway.
None of it matters.
Right. Like it's my opinion of myself that matters, not their opinion of me. And once you get that, like you'll let go of whatever they're thinking. It's not your problem, bro. Like
it's not like we were talking before. It's like the art of not giving a fuck.
Not giving a fuck at all.
At all. Just
like,
do you.
Yeah. And you know Gary Vee, right? Like he had this one keynote speech where he said, you know, you'll start getting to the point where you not only will you not give a fuck about like Fat Pants 89 on Twitter, but now where I'm at is I don't give a fuck what my mom thinks. I don't give a fuck what my sister thinks. Like nobody in my family, like that's freedom right there. When you can appreciate their opinion, but not let it control you and make your decisions, right?
Because it's like not saying like an F you to your mom or something, but it's like, I see what you're saying, mom, but this is what I think I should do. Yeah. And like once you get to that zen, like you're
unstoppable.
Exactly.
But it has to be, what I've learned is it has to be a constant thought process every day to get there. Like you're not just waking up with the utmost confidence and of doing shit. Like I have to literally put my attention to the idea of confidence in order to attain it for myself.
Exactly.
Yeah. It never comes easy.
It's never going to be easy. Yeah. That's the best thing. It's not going to be boring at the same time. Like, if it's too easy, it's too it's boring.
It's boring. Yeah. Should we wrap this up?
Yep. Let's wrap it up.
Yeah. This was fun. Thank you.
This was fun. Thank you so much for having me here. It was a great experience. Like I said, like,
I love talking to people like you, creators, creation. It always, you guys always have a different idea of life and it shows. Like you could just tell by a person that they have a purpose, they have a passion that they're following in pursuit. And I hope everybody felt that on this podcast.
Right? I hope so.
Thank you everybody for listening. We'll wrap it up here. Peace out.